All right, so today we're diving into the world of Forex, right? And we're taking a look at this trader, Evgeny Strees, and his whole profit maker system he's always going on about.
Yeah, it's understandable why people are drawn to these kind of systems, especially in Forex. I mean, who wouldn't want those big wins he's promising?
Yeah, exactly. Everyone's looking for that secret formula. But I gotta say, watching these videos, Strees throws around some pretty technical terms like zones of interest and parabolic movement. What exactly are we even talking about here?
Well, when he says zones of interest, he's basically talking about specific price levels on the charts, where he thinks a big price swing might happen.
Ah, I see. So it's kind of like trying to predict where the price is going to jump next.
Exactly. It could be based on, I don't know, previous price movements or those support and resistance levels you hear traders talk about. Sometimes I think it's just his gut feeling, honestly.
Interesting. And what about this parabolic movement thing? Sounds kind of intimidating, right?
Yeah, that's when the price starts to really take off, like super fast, like a rocket.
Yeah.
And of course, every trader wants to jump on that rocket, hoping for those massive profits.
Makes sense. But I'm guessing it's not as easy as just hopping on for the ride, is it? He also mentions channels a lot. What are those all about?
Channels are basically those areas on a price chart where the price has kind of been bouncing around between these two lines, like a channel, right?
Yeah.
Those lines are called trend lines, and they act kind of like a ceiling and a floor for the price.
Okay, starting to get it. So Stries is trying to find these channels, and then what? He waits for the price to break out of the channel.
Yeah, you got it. Hoping to catch the beginning of a new trend. It's a pretty common strategy in Forex, but it's definitely not foolproof.
Right, I bet. Now, speaking of a strategy, in one video, he shows this trade and makes like 818 bucks in less than 24 hours. Using some trading bot too, it all seems very, I don't know, precise. Is that really typical, or are we seeing the highlight reel?
That's the thing, isn't it? These videos, they're edited. They're going to show the wins, the exciting parts, the stuff that gets people hooked.
So we're probably not seeing all the trades that didn't go so well, right?
Exactly. That's what we call survivorship bias. We tend to only focus on the successes, those who survived, and forget about all the failures along the way.
So it's like looking at a sports team based only on their highlight reel without seeing any of the losses or the tough practices.
Precisely. And that's why you always have to approach these kind of systems with a healthy dose of skepticism.
Yeah.
Always question, right? Are these results for real? Can you really trust them? Are they just cherry picking the good stuff?
That's a good point. We've all fallen for that too good to be true trap before. But even with all that said, Strees keeps mentioning these long wicks as like a good sign, bullish signal, he calls it. What exactly are those? I'm lost with all this candlestick talk.
Candlestick charts can seem a little intimidating at first, but they're just a way to visualize how the price is moving over a certain time period. Now, a long wick on one of those candlestick things just means that the price went way up or way down, but by the end of that time period, it ended up closing close to where it started.
So it's like a burst of energy, but it fizzles out quickly.
Exactly. It shows that some people were buying or selling like crazy, but then others jumped in and pushed the price back the other way. It's like a tug of war.
It's kind of like, we're looking at all these charts trying to connect the dots, but are we really seeing patterns or just making stuff up as we go along? Like, how can we be sure this profit maker system is legit and not just some, I don't know, lucky streak?
Yeah, that's the real challenge, right? Separating luck from actual skill or even just clever marketing. One way to get a sense of any trading system, even beyond just what profits they're claiming, is to really look at what's underneath, right? The principles.
Okay, like what?
Well, like, do they even mention risk management? How to protect yourself from big losses, or the psychological side of trading. Because believe me, that's a huge part of it.
Now that you mention it, Stries does talk about risk management a lot, especially using those stop-loss orders. It seems like a pretty big deal to him.
See, that's a good sign. Stop-loss orders are absolutely essential no matter what anyone tells you, especially in a market as wild as Forex. Basically, it's like setting a safety net. If the price drops to a certain level, your trade automatically closes and you limit your losses.
So it's like an insurance policy for your trades, right? Prevents you from losing your shirt. But even with that safety net, trading can be pretty emotional, right? I mean, we see Struz in his videos getting pumped up when he's winning. How do you handle the losses without, I don't know, letting it mess with your head?
Oh man, that's the million-dollar question, right? Controlling your emotions is just as important as any fancy trading strategy out there. And one of the biggest mistakes people make, chasing those losses.
Chasing losses, what do you mean?
So you have a losing trade, You get emotional, and you're thinking, I got to win that money back. And what do? You jump right into another trade, maybe even risk more this time, hoping to make it all back.
It's like doubling down on a bad hand in poker, right?
Exactly. You're just digging yourself a deeper hole. That's where discipline comes in. Having a clear plan, sticking to your risk management rules, and knowing when to just walk away. That's tough for a lot of people.
I bet. It's got to take a lot of self-control. And Stries also talks a lot about patience, which seems kind of funny, right? Because Forex trading always seemed like this fast-paced, get-rich-quick kind of thing.
Yeah, it's definitely not what people usually think. While Forex can move super fast, the truth is most traders who are successful, they take a much more, patient approach.
So it's more like a marathon than a sprint.
Exactly. It's about waiting for the right opportunities, managing your risk, not just jumping into every trade that looks exciting. You got to be picky.
So it's about having the discipline to not get swept up in all the hype and FOMO.
100%. Trusting your analysis, trusting the process, even when it's not all sunshine and rainbows.
Yeah.
And that's not easy.
No kidding. Sounds like you got to be part trader, part therapist, honestly.
Yeah.
And speaking of analysis, Stries' whole thing seems to be about identifying trends, looking for those big breakouts where the price is going to skyrocket. But can you really predict those moves with any certainty?
If we can predict the future, we wouldn't be here, right? We'd be on some beach sipping cocktails. Look, technical analysis, it can definitely give you some clues, some areas where a breakout might happen. But is it foolproof? Absolutely not.
So how do you tell the difference between a real breakout and those false signals? The ones that look promising but then just fizzle out.
That's the art of trading, my friend. And that's where experience comes in. Experienced traders, they look for what we call confluence. Basically, it's like putting together a puzzle, looking for multiple signals that all point in the same direction.
Okay, so it's not just about one magic indicator, it's about looking at the bigger picture.
Exactly. It's about looking at different indicators, maybe even considering the news, the overall market sentiment, and trying to connect the dots.
So you're basically playing detective with the markets, trying to anticipate the next move.
Something like that. It's about gathering as much information as you can, making sense of it all, and then placing your bets, knowing that there are never any guarantees.
So we've talked about risk, we've talked about emotions and spotting those trends, but with Stries and his profit maker, it all sounds, almost too easy, like a magic button for Forex trading. Is there really a secret formula like that?
The million-dollar question, right? Everyone wants that magic button. But the truth is, there's no one-size-fits-all in trading. What works for one person might be a disaster for someone else.
So where do you even start then? How do you even figure out what kind of trading plan is right for you? It seems so overwhelming with so much information out there.
Yeah, it can be a jungle out there for sure. But look, the best place to start is always the basics. You got to understand how Forex actually works, like what makes those prices go up and down, what kind of orders can you even place. You got to have that foundation first.
Makes sense. And I'm guessing, like we talked about, risk management should be a top priority.
Absolutely. Before you even think about hitting that buy or sell button, you got to figure out how much you're willing to lose. Seriously, it's not about getting rich quick. It's about protecting yourself from blowing up your account.
And that's where those stop-loss orders come in, right? Like Stries is always talking about.
Exactly. And I got to give him credit. He's hammering that point home, and for good reason. It's not just about setting those stop losses. It's bigger than that. It's about having a whole plan for managing your risk. How much are you putting into each trade? Are you spreading your bets or going all in on one thing? You got to know your limits, how much risk you're comfortable with.
So it's not just about winning. It's about knowing how to lose without losing everything.
Bingo. It's about staying in the game, even when you get knocked down. And that's where, again, it comes back to keeping those emotions in check. Because let me tell you, trading, it can be a real roller coaster. 1 minute you're up, the next you're down.
And that's going to mess with your head, right?
It can, big time. And, even Strays, he's not immune to it. Remember that trade we saw where he loses $185? He admits right there it was because he got impatient, didn't stick to his own rules.
It's kind of refreshing to see that even someone like him makes mistakes, makes it seem more, human, I guess.
And that's the thing. Even the best traders, they make mistakes. The difference is they learn from them. They adapt. They come back stronger. They don't let it destroy them.
So it's as much about mastering yourself as it is about mastering the markets, huh?
100%. It's that mental game that trips people up. You can know all the technicals in the world, but if you can't keep your cool under pressure, it doesn't mean much.
So where does this leave us with Stries and his profit maker? Should we all be copying his trades or just, taking it all with a grain of salt?
That's the question, right?
Yeah.
Look, we've gone through a strategy. We talked about risk, about emotions, about finding what works for you. Ultimately, the best system. It's not about some magic formula. It's about finding what you understand, what you can actually stick to, and most importantly, what helps you manage that risk.
So maybe the real treasure isn't some secret system, but figuring out how to navigate this whole Forex world yourself with your own eyes wide open.
Now you're getting it. It's about learning, adapting, and yeah, having a little bit of the guts to get in the game in the first place.
And never stop learning, right?
Never stop learning. Trading, it's a journey, not a destination.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And on that note, we'll leave you all to explore this exciting, wild world of Forex. Just remember, knowledge is power, and don't forget to think for yourself. Until next time, happy trading, everyone.